Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget-friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. Today's video is also a collaboration with Ashley Lauren Price. I'll have her channel linked down below. I recently started watching her videos and love them. She is super sweet. She's a fellow fur mama and she does lots of yummy recipe videos. So like I said, her channel will be linked down below. Make sure you go check her out, subscribe, let her know that I sent you. For dinner this first night, I made chicken pillows. Now, I know there's lots of different recipes and variations for this. I've made the plain chickens recipe a couple times and we enjoy it. I'll have it linked down below. I may have shared this once before on my channel. If I have, it's been a while. But let me show you how to make this. It's really yummy, really easy dinner. My oven is preheating to 350 degrees. I'm going to make the mixture that's going to go in the pillows. First, I need some softened cream cheese. I'm just using this whipped cream cheese. That's what I've got on hand. I'm then going to add in the melted butter. Now, the recipe doesn't call for this, but I like to add just a little shake of ranch seasoning and then a little bit of pepper. I'm going to stir that until it's combined really well and then add in the milk. Next, I'm going to add in my shredded chicken. This is just some chicken that I cooked up in a crock pot one day, shredded it, had it in the freezer. I've shared how I do this. I'll link that video in the description box below. You could use a rotisserie chicken. I'm going to stir that until it's combined and then set that to the side. Next, I'm going to take my cookie sheet and spray it with a little bit of cooking spray. And then I'm going to take a roll of crescent dough. I'm going to take 2 of the triangles and pinch them together so that they make a rectangle. Then I'm going to take some of that chicken mixture, place it in the middle of my little crescent rectangle, and fold the sides up to make a little like pouch or pillow. And then place that, I like to put the seam side down on the cookie sheet. And I'm going to keep going until I've used up all of my crescent rolls. Next, I'm going to brush the tops of the pillows with some of the melted butter. And then for the topping, this recipe suggests that you use crushed up croutons, and I really like doing that. You know, the crescent dough is kind of soft, the filling is kind of soft, so I really like having the crunchy texture of the garlic croutons, but really you could use anything that you prefer. And like I said, some recipes call for you to make a sauce. You can totally do that, but I don't feel like this needs it. These are really yummy as they are. So this is going to go into the preheated oven, and you're going to bake this for about 20 to 25 minutes. For my side, I'm going to do some Parmesan green beans. I've got this sheet pan that I sprayed with some cooking spray. I'm going to add some fresh green beans and then add just a little bit of oil. I think this is just vegetable oil. I'm going to give that a toss. And then I decided to add some of the Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse seasoning. You can use whatever seasonings you prefer. I'm going to add some grated Parmesan cheese and then just a little bit of salt, some pepper, and give that a good toss. I'll have the recipe that I kind of loosely follow linked down in the description box below. I say loosely because I just eyeball everything, and the recipe calls for, I think, panko breadcrumbs, which I skip. Normally, I cook this at whatever the temperature the recipe says. I think it's like 400 degrees or something, but I was cooking the pillows at a lower temp, so I just cooked the green beans along with the pillows for as long as it took the pillows to cook. All right, here are the finished chicken pillows, and here are the green beans. And then here are the plates. Just serve the chicken pillow with some of the green beans. Such a delicious, easy, comforting dinner. For dinner the next night, I made $1 Million spaghetti. I've shared this a few times before on my channel, so I didn't go through like every single step today, but I'll show you a brief overview of how I made it. The recipe, of course, will be linked down below. In this bowl, I've combined my cottage cheese, softened cream cheese, sour cream, parsley flakes, and garlic powder. And a quick note, if you've watched my videos before, I've mentioned several times I do not like cottage cheese, but I don't mind it in this or lasagna. You really can't taste it or tell the texture. So, you know, if you're a cottage cheese hater, don't let that keep you from making this recipe. And I suppose you could use ricotta in this. I haven't tried it though. In this pot, I've got my meat sauce. I think the recipe calls for cooked Italian sausage. I just used some lean ground beef that I seasoned up, and I added a jar of the Rouse pasta sauce. You could use your favorite or make your own homemade. And then I just kind of seasoned it a little, added some extra Italian seasoning, as well as some garlic powder. Now, the recipe does not call for you to do this, but I like to take a little bit of the sauce and toss it with my cooked spaghetti noodles before I start layering it. You don't have to do that. It's just a personal preference. I halved the recipe, so I've got a 9x9 baking dish that I sprayed really well with some cooking spray. And what I did was I placed half of the cooked noodles with the sauce in the bottom of the dish. You just want to add half. Then we're going to add that cheese layer, then the rest of the noodles, then the sauce, and then we're going to add some shredded mozzarella cheese on top. I also added just a little shredded, I think it was like a cheddar blend, just for a little color. You don't have to do that at all. We're going to place this into the oven and bake it for about 45 minutes until it's golden brown. And then when it comes out of the oven, just like with the lasagna, you do want to let this sit for about 15 minutes before you go to serve it. To go along with this spaghetti, I'm going to cook these garlic knots according to the package instructions. And then here is my plate. Now, I ate before my husband did. He was at the gym this night. But I just served myself some of the pasta. I made a quick side salad and then the garlic knots. This was delicious. I really love this spaghetti. It's so yummy, and I have the recipe. I think I said that. If not, I apologize. But it still makes a really generous portion. It's perfect for Gary and I. Gives us a good size portion for dinner, and then we've got plenty for leftovers for lunches for us for a couple days. So I recommend you all give this recipe a try if you haven't already. The next night was Halloween, and I hope that for anyone who celebrates it, you had a safe and happy Halloween. I have been wanting to do a snacky dinner. We love doing those, just do different appetizers. We haven't done it in a while, so I figured we'd do it for Halloween. I started out by trying a new recipe for a slow cooker spinach and artichoke dip. Let me show you how I did this. I've sprayed my crock pot liner really well with some cooking spray. I'm going to add in my softened cream cheese. And I saw this recipe on Instagram. I believe the person, their name is TN Styled. I'll link it down in the description box below. Next, I'm going to add in the minced garlic as well as the diced green chilies. I drained those. And then I'm going to add in the sour cream. You may be able to substitute the sour cream with Greek yogurt if you'd prefer to do that. I obviously didn't try it. This was my first time, but you could give it a try if you would like. Next, I'm going to add in my frozen spinach that I thawed and drained really, really well. You really want to take a couple minutes and try to squeeze out as much liquid as you possibly can. Next, I'm going to add in my chopped up artichoke hearts as well as the shredded Parmesan cheese. And I forgot to mention earlier when I added the cream cheese, I also added some butter. It doesn't really matter the order you add things. And for the diced green chilies, in case you're wondering, it did not add any heat at all to the dip. So I'm going to give that a stir and then cook this on low for about an hour to an hour and a half. I did go through a couple times and give it a stir. This is what it looked like when it was done, and I gave it a taste. I did add a little bit of salt and some pepper. Now, to serve this up, you could use vegetables, crackers, whatever you like. I'm using some corn tortilla chips and these non-crisps. Those non-crisps with this dip was pretty tasty. Next, I made Tennessee Whiskey Tailgate Wings. I've showed this a couple times before on my channel. I'll link one of those videos down below. This recipe comes from, there's a store in Nashville called the Nashville Olive Oil Store. They have a couple different locations in Nashville. They sell those like flavored olive oils and vinegars. And they came up with this recipe. It is delicious. I've made this a few times before. So what I've got is on this sheet pan, I lined it with foil. I put a couple wire racks. I've got some chicken wings that I tossed with some smoked salt, Italian seasoning, smoked paprika, and pepper. And I'm going to bake those in a preheated oven at 425 degrees for about 45 minutes until the wings are at least 165 degrees. In this saucepan, I've got my balsamic vinegar, honey, and garlic. You're going to bring this to a simmer, cook it for 10 minutes, stirring it pretty frequently until it's reduced and thick. You do want to be patient and watch this. Keep an eye on it. Last time I made these, I was impatient and turned the heat up. It boiled over. It was an absolute nightmare to clean off my stove, so be patient with it. Once it's reduced and thick, you're going to remove it from the heat, add in the mustard, and then set it to the side until the wings are done. So once the wings were 165 degrees, and I did flip them halfway during the cooking time, by the way, you're going to brush both sides of the wings with that glaze, and then I like to pop them back in the oven for just maybe 5 to 7 minutes just to allow the sauce to settle on them. And then I sprinkled just a tiny little bit of the extra sea salt, the smoked sea salt on there. It gives it a little crunch. It's delicious. I also made some ham and Swiss sliders. I absolutely love these things. I've shared them so many times before on my channel. I'll link it down below. It's basically just ham and Swiss cheese on some Hawaiian rolls. This time I used the Hawaiian slider buns. And then you make a mixture of melted butter, Worcestershire sauce, Dijon mustard, onion powder, poppy seeds. Brush that over your rolls. Cover it with foil, bake it at 350 for about 20 minutes or so. Remove the foil, bake it for another 10 minutes or so, and these are so, so good. All right, here's the dinner. We've got the sliders, the spinach dip, some of the chips for dipping. And then for the wings, I just thought these would be perfect for Halloween. Because of the balsamic vinegar, they're black. And so I thought they were kind of spooky, like bat wings almost. And for my husband, I've got some Marzetti's blue cheese sauce for him to dip. And I just made a quick punch, orange sherbet, orange soda, and Sprite. And we had a good time celebrating Halloween, seeing all the cute little trick-or-treaters. And then we ended up watching E.T., which neither of us had seen since we were kids. So it was a really fun night. I had some chicken drumsticks in my freezer that I wanted to use up, so I decided to do my baked drumsticks. I don't really follow a recipe for this. I just eyeball it. This is how I've made it for years. So in this grease casserole dish, I am going to place my chicken and season it up. I've got the oven preheating to 375 degrees. You can use whatever seasonings you like on your chicken. I like to do salt and pepper and then some white pepper if I've got it, onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, some dried thyme, and then I just season the chicken really generously on both sides. This is going to go into the preheated oven and bake for about 45 minutes or so. You want to cook this until the chicken is at least 165 degrees internal temperature. For my sides, I made some roasted carrots with candied pecans and goat cheese. I shared how I made this in a recent video. I'll link that down in the description box below. Highly recommend. This was delicious. For my other side, I made an apple pear cranberry slaw. This recipe will be in a video coming out on the 17th, so keep an eye out to see how I made that. It was really light and refreshing and had all the great flavors of fall. Here are the plates. We've got the chicken, the slaw, and the carrots. Delicious, delicious dinner. For dinner the next night, we just did leftovers. I didn't get a separate picture because it's the same thing as you've already seen in this video. My husband had some of the leftover $1 Million spaghetti, and I had some of the leftover spinach and artichoke dip and sliders from the Halloween meal, and that was our dinner this night. For dinner the next night, my husband really wanted a cheeseburger, so he asked if we could run up to McDonald's. That was fine with me because I had heard that their McRibs are back. So I've never actually ordered a McRib when we've went to McDonald's. I've had a bite of my husband's a couple times, and then I've made like copycat McRib sandwiches, which I think I have a video on that. I'll link it down below. You basically just use like the Banquet frozen rib patties to make the sandwiches. So we went to McDonald's. I got the McRib, no pickle, no onions. And then my husband got the quarter pounder with cheese. This was a quick and easy dinner. Now, the McRib, okay, me personally, and like I said, this was my first time ever having it myself, other than taking a bite of Gary's. It was okay. It wasn't, I didn't love it. Like, it's not something I would stand in line for. It was okay. But to be completely honest with you, when I've done the copycat ones at home, just with the frozen Banquet rib patties, I actually like those better. But this was dinner this night, quick and easy, and I didn't have to cook, and there were no dishes, so that was a win. For the last dinner in this week's video, I tried a new recipe for cheesy sausage and rice. I kind of loosely followed the Cozy Cooks recipe. I'll link it down below. This was delicious. Both my husband and I really love this, which I was kind of worried. He doesn't really love sausage. Well, sausage doesn't agree with him, doesn't love him, so he thinks he doesn't love sausage. But anyway, he loved this. So if you make nothing else from this video, make this. It was delicious. All right, let me show you how to do this. Okay, so for the skillet, this is a one-pot dish. You really want to use something that you can place into the oven unless you just really love doing dishes. You could do a cast iron skillet. You could use a Dutch oven. I'm using my Caraway pans, not sponsored at all. They have no idea who I am. I bought these with my own money. I did use Kristen Stepp's like coat though. But anyway, these are oven safe. So what I'm going to do is chop up my turkey smoked sausage. Like I said, sausage really doesn't agree with my husband, so when I use it, I like to use turkey. It doesn't bother him as much. So I'm just going to brown up the turkey on both sides in just a little bit of oil, and then remove the sausage and set it to the side. Next, I'm going to add in a little bit of butter to that same skillet. Don't wipe it out. You've got some yummy brown bits from the sausage in there. I'm going to add in some chopped onion and bell pepper. Use whatever kind you prefer. I had a red onion on hand, so that's what I'm going to use, and I prefer red bell pepper over green. I'm going to add just a tiny little bit of salt to the vegetables. That's going to help break them down and soften them. And I'm going to cook those for about 3 to 5 minutes until they're tender. And I apologize for the next few steps. I could have swore I was recording, but obviously I didn't. Here's what I added. I did about a cup of chicken broth. I used water and chicken bouillon powder, 3/4 of a cup of milk, 2 heaping tablespoons of sour cream, a cup of shredded cheese, about a teaspoon of minced garlic. I used 1 can of cream of chicken and mushroom soup, not 1 can of cream of chicken and a can of cream of mushroom. It's 1 can, and it has cream of chicken and cream of mushroom in that same can. I hope that makes sense. I added some Tony Chachere's and Auntie No-No seasoning. Go easy with this. A lot of the ingredients that you're adding can be a little on the salty side, so go easy with any salt or seasonings that have salt in them. And then this is where I differed a little bit from the Cozy Cooks recipe. She had you add more chicken broth and add in like raw rice and cook it, but I just added in some already cooked rice. Cut down on the cooking time, and then that way I made sure the rice was cooked. Just use some instant rice. I cooked it in the microwave according to the package instructions. All right, and here is everything once it's been added in, and I forgot to mention I did also add quite a bit of black pepper. I'm going to add the cooked sausage back in, give it a stir, and then you don't have to do this. The recipe doesn't call for this. I decided to add in some frozen peas. You could add in any vegetables. I think frozen broccoli would be delicious. You'd also do zucchini, mushrooms, asparagus, whatever you like. Great way to hide in some veggies. So I felt like it was a little tight, so I added just a splash more of milk. And then I'm going to add the about 1/2 cup of shredded cheese on top. I'm going to place this into an oven. It was set at 350 degrees. I just cooked it for maybe about 10 minutes until it was bubbly and the cheese was melted on top. Here's what it looked like when it was done. And then here is my plate. I've got some of the cheesy sausage and rice. My husband was again at the gym this night, so he ate later, and then just did side salads. And like I said, this was delicious. We both loved this. We had leftovers, and the leftovers were really, really good. All right, that is it for today's video. I hope you liked it. I hope you got some dinner inspiration. Please hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And don't forget to go check out Ashley's channel. Again, it'll be linked down below. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.